Most women say they want the perfect man, but that's not actually what makes them fall. Sometimes one tiny green flag is worth more than 100 muscles. Here's the funny part. Most women don't even realize why they suddenly like someone. Their brain notices the green flag long before they do. And today, we're exposing the 10 green flags women secretly notice, even when they swear they don't.
The girl you want to become is only a few levels away. Subscribe and keep climbing.
Level 1. He makes you feel comfortable. You planned to act mysterious, then 5 minutes later, you're talking about your favorite childhood cartoon, your weird coffee order, and somehow your third-grade teacher. That's a green flag, because the right person doesn't make conversations feel like job interviews. Some people make you rehearse every sentence. Others make you forget you were even trying to impress them. When you don't feel judged, your real personality quietly walks into the room. Suddenly, you're making terrible jokes, and somehow he laughs anyway. Congratulations, you accidentally stopped performing and started being yourself. And that's usually the first green flag women never think to mention. Because comfort doesn't create butterflies. It creates something much harder to find: peace. And strangely enough, peace is often far more attractive than excitement. If someone makes you feel more like yourself instead of making you perform, you've already found green flag number 1. Level 2. He's kind when nobody's watching. Anyone can be charming when they're trying to impress you. The real magic starts when nobody's keeping score. He says thank you to the waiter, and suddenly your brain starts planning your last name. Relax, you're not marrying him after one polite sentence. Your brain is just being extra. Kindness is attractive because it doesn't need an audience. Green flags are funny because they're usually the smallest things in the room. Your heart notices character long before your checklist notices appearance. A lot of women don't fall for grand gestures. They fall for consistent little moments. Because flowers eventually fade, but kindness keeps showing up. Your friends might notice his confidence. You'll probably remember how he treated people. And without realizing it, you've just discovered green flag number 2. Level 3. He remembers the little things. One day, you casually mention your favorite chocolate. 2 weeks later, he remembers. Meanwhile, you can't even remember where you left your charger. Your brain immediately opens an emergency meeting. Wait, he actually remembered? Relax, remembering your coffee order isn't romance, but it does mean you mattered enough to pay attention. Attention is one of the rarest forms of respect, and it's completely free. Some guys buy flowers, others remember you hate onions. One of those saves dinner. That's when your heart whispers, okay, that's actually cute. The funniest part? He probably has no idea he just earned 10 invisible points. Nobody claps when someone remembers the little things, but somehow those are the moments people remember the longest. Because it's never about the chocolate, the coffee, or the onions. It's about feeling noticed. Congratulations. Without realizing it, you've just unlocked green flag number 3. Level 4. He makes you laugh without trying. Here's something unfair. The funniest guy in the room is usually not the one telling jokes. He's just being himself. He wasn't even trying to be funny, and somehow you're laughing harder than you planned. You promised yourself you'd stay mysterious. Then you snort laughed. Congratulations, the mystery is over. A green flag isn't someone who impresses you every minute. It's someone who makes ordinary moments feel fun. Some dates need fireworks. Others only need one terrible joke and 2 people laughing at it. The strange thing about laughter, it quietly makes people feel safe around each other. And somehow, the harder you laugh, the less you're pretending to be perfect. Because nobody laughs like that when they're busy trying to impress someone. Your heart doesn't remember every conversation. It remembers how someone made you feel. And just like that, green flag number 4 sneaks in while nobody was paying attention. Level 5. He listens to remember. Most people listen just long enough to start talking. A green flag listens long enough to actually understand. You stop mid-story and ask, "Wait, are you actually listening?" He answers the question you hadn't even asked yet. Congratulations, you have officially found a unicorn. He doesn't interrupt your story, even when it takes 17 unnecessary plot twists. At some point, you completely forgot what the original story was about. He didn't. Listening isn't attractive because it's impressive. It's attractive because it makes people feel important. Being heard is one of those things people don't realize they need until someone finally gives it to them. That's why one real conversation can be worth more than 100 perfect selfies. Funny enough, the green flags people remember most are usually the quiet ones. And just like that, without making a big show of it, green flag number 5 quietly steals the spotlight. Level 6. He gives you peace, not confusion. You know what's surprisingly attractive? Not having to call your best friend and ask, "What do you think he meant by this?" With the right guy, your calculator can finally retire. No decoding, no guessing, no emotional escape room. He says he'll call, then he actually calls. Apparently, that's still legal. Your nervous system finally gets a vacation. The healthiest relationships aren't boring. They're just refreshingly predictable. Funny how peace feels strange only after you've gotten used to chaos. Butterflies are exciting, but sleeping peacefully at night is underrated. A green flag doesn't keep you guessing. It quietly helps you relax. Congratulations, you just unlocked the rarest green flag so far. Level 7. He respects your boundaries. A green flag isn't someone who climbs over your boundaries. It's someone who reads the sign that says, "Please knock," and actually knocks. The weird thing, respect is attractive, and it's somehow becoming rare. He doesn't get offended every time you say, "I need some time," because healthy people don't hear boundaries as rejection, they hear them as directions. Ironically, the more someone respects your space, the safer you feel inviting them into it. Nobody has ever said, "Wow, I wish he ignored my boundaries more." Respect isn't romantic because it's dramatic. It's romantic because it makes you feel safe. Funny enough, the calmest relationships usually have the strongest foundations. The greenest flag isn't chasing you everywhere. Sometimes it's simply knowing when to stop. Congratulations, you've just found green flag number 7. Level 8. He takes responsibility. Here's a rare sight. Someone says, "That was my fault." And the earth keeps spinning. No excuses, no dramatic speeches, no blaming Mercury for being in retrograde. Just, "Yeah, I messed up." Accountability. Turns out it's incredibly attractive. You know what's exhausting? Arguing with someone who's never wrong. A real apology doesn't come with, "but." Funny enough, owning a mistake often builds more trust than never making one. Nobody is perfect. Green flags aren't perfect people. They're responsible people. And honestly, that's much harder to fake. Congratulations, you just found one of the rarest green flags on the internet. And somehow, that simple sentence is worth more than 1,000 perfect excuses. Level 9. He makes you feel chosen. A green flag isn't someone who makes you compete for attention. It's someone who makes you feel like you never had to. You don't have to wonder, "Does he actually like me?" Because his actions answered that question 3 weeks ago. Consistency is surprisingly romantic, mostly because it's surprisingly uncommon. You know what's attractive? Not guessing. Your best friend suddenly has nothing left to analyze. She's honestly a little disappointed. Healthy attention feels surprisingly quiet because it doesn't need to keep proving itself every day. Funny enough, being someone's obvious choice is more attractive than being everyone's option. Real confidence doesn't make people chase, it makes them feel safe staying. And that's why this green flag feels so different. You've reached green flag number 9. Only one remains. Level 10. You never have to question where you stand. The biggest green flag isn't butterflies, it isn't gifts, it isn't perfect dates, it's certainty. The healthiest relationships don't make you solve riddles, they make you feel secure. Your phone becomes a phone again, not an emotional support device. You stop checking when he was last online because you simply don't need to. Peace quietly replaces panic, and somehow that becomes the most attractive feeling of all. It's funny. The best relationships often look boring to people addicted to chaos. Turns out, emotional stability is actually pretty attractive. Maybe that's the biggest secret. Green flags don't give you emotional highs, they give you emotional safety. And once you've experienced that, red flags suddenly become much easier to recognize. Maybe that's why women rarely talk about green flags, because they're usually quiet, simple, and easy to miss. But in the end, they're often the reason someone stays, not just the reason someone falls. So, which green flag made the biggest difference for you?